so cold.
Yeah, there is. 18 different. Get 18.
It may help you, but after that,
You were about to cry.
I would actually almost scared.
Oh, yeah, this how she picked cry.
That would probably would have won.
That would actually be a good debate.
I would be Carolina.
I think your mind.
I'm always a winner. I'm gonna tell you, I'm always a winner.
Do you think
I'll say this much. I legitimately moved to prayer.
You have 18 arguments.
Oh, that's
I don't have
supposed
18
that's supposed to be.
You said 18.
that was like you?
Look at these.
Oh my God, teen measured on.
Y'all are suited up, looking amazing, graceful.
Kira. Doing the hand signs.
I thought people that win.
All right.
I still won.
This will be the final debate for this class. We're gonna say we got one more round of debate. We're gonna save that until Thursday. So this is our last round. My group, make sure if you guys are not debating, I still want your notes. I still want your journals. Make sure you get that stuff turned in. My notes are wrinkled up. What happened? Go ahead and sign in. Appreciate that.
I would stop. I don't even know why I associate with She's so calling me a loser.
All right, so we will follow the format. Here, I won't wait too much longer for 8th grade children. I won't wait too much longer. We will go back to our team format. 4 rounds, actually 5 rounds, 3 counter opportunities. Since both of you have teammates, I expect your teammates to raise the flag whenever you are prepared to encounter. Malcolm X side, you'll be leading every single round.
We're not
So you'll be leading every single round. Whenever you're ready.
What was by any means necessary, and how did it play in Malcolm X's life? Jean-Paul Sartre said by any means necessary in a play that he wrote. Malcolm X used it in a speech. It gained popularity from the way that Malcolm perceived it. Malcolm says that it means don't be violent until the other side is. By any means necessary was a very large part of his ideology. He very much believed that you shouldn't fight first, or people would perceive it as your fault, and you don't want it to be your fault. Then they would blame it on you. It would be your problem. People say that Malcolm was violent, but I believe it's only because he was fight over flight. He was an eye for an eye. He did what he believed in. He tried to make everything equal. That was just his preferred method.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I'm ready.
A movement requires dedicated followers. The more determined the followers, the more significant the results are. MLK's nonviolence is similar. Some protesters wrote their last will and testament before demonstrations. They thought they might die, and were willing to die to gain equal rights. Gandhi inspired this dedicated nonviolence. Gandhi went on hunger strikes to pressure Britain for India's independence. Malcolm X's movement did not require this extreme level of dedication. His followers were allowed to fight back and had nothing to lose. They just escalated the violence, while MLK's group was mercilessly slaughtered. Think of it as MLK good cop and Malcolm X bad cop. If whites didn't choose MLK's peaceful option, they would have to face Malcolm X's deadly one. So not fighting back was strategic on MLK's part. Whites watching police brutality felt guilty and sympathetic to the dedicated movement.
That concludes round number one. There were counters raised by both. Ava, you will be making the first counter, and Hannah, you will be making the second counter. So whenever you are ready, actually give us a second while we go ahead and score. Just a second. Ava, whenever you are ready, I'll start your 30 seconds.
Okay, so you said don't be violent until the other side's violent. But when you become violent just because you're mad or upset, then you become just as bad as the person you're fighting against. You kill people, you hurt people. I understand that white people are killing blacks, but just because they're killing you, you shouldn't kill them back.
Whenever you are ready, Hannah, I will start the timer.
Go. So you're saying that Malcolm X's followers weren't determined? They were determined to actually kill people. They were dedicated to their cause. They had something that they fought for, and they fought for it. They didn't just sit off to the side or let things get bowled over by others.
That concludes our first round, including counters. Give us a moment, and you shall begin round number two. It will be starting on your side.
Okay.
Hold on, wait for a second. You gotta score your count.
Oh my God.
Hey, we got some seating accommodations. Paul, you need a more comfortable seating. Who is this that's in my area? Y'all know I'm a very accommodating person, but I need accommodations. I'm here for you. You know? I'm a giving teacher, a considerate individual. Whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Go. By any means necessary is what Malcolm X believed, and it's what we need as a society, because we have awareness now, which is great and all, but that's not enough anymore. What we need is actual action. We need this action because, well, the awareness is only going to get us so far, and if we don't make them so they know that we care, they're never going to care themselves. If we have to fight for our rights now, right now, or they'll never care, because they're going to, every minute we become complacent and lazy and slower.
One example of a non-violent, successful protest is the Montgomery bus boycott. Blacks were not given fair treatment, so they did something about it. For example, if an old black woman had a hard day at work and she wanted to sit down and go home on the bus, and a young white boy got on the bus, she would have to give up her seat. So they did something about that. On December 5th, 1955, the Montgomery bus boycott started. During this time, Malcolm X, he drove people to work. He gave speeches. He told people not to give up, and all of this stuff worked. On December 20th, 1956, the Montgomery bus boycott ended, and blacks were given fair treatment on buses, and they were allowed to sit down on a bus after a hard day at work. The Montgomery bus boycott also gave lots and lots of publicity. People all over knew what they were doing. They were on news outlets, on newspapers, on radio stations. And all of this publicity helped in later protests, and it helped in later things.
That concludes this round. There is only one person who has used their counter opportunity. Give us a moment, and then Paul, you can make your opportunity. Hold it, whenever you're ready, Paul.
I'm ready. You said that people need to take action. First of all, you didn't even mention Malcolm X in your whole argument. But also, Malcolm X never really did anything. He spoke and fired people up, but he never actually led marches. MLK led marches, went to demonstrations, made speeches, did everything. But he's just a paper tiger, Malcolm X. He looks fierce, but then he never really does anything about it.
Round number three. Round number three. Please make sure if you want to make a counter opportunity, which you still have two, and you have one counter opportunity remaining. You'll be starting us off. Whenever you're ready, I'll start.
Some people, like Martin Luther King, thought integration was better than separation. Malcolm quoted, "Unite together among our own kind." Malcolm didn't want whites to take control over blacks like they have for hundreds of years previously. Malcolm thought that blacks should have some race self-respect before worrying about other races and what they're doing. If we follow through with Malcolm X's ideas, there would be no racial inequality. There would be no problems between races. This is the idea of black nationalism. If we separated them, there would be two separate, thriving communities. We go for separation. Separation is when you have your own. You control your own economy, you control your own politics. You have yours and control yours. We have ours and control ours.
Yep. Whenever you're ready, sir.
I'm ready. MLK wanted everyone to be in the civil rights movement. All Malcolm X wanted was for black Muslims to have a separate piece of land they could control. MLK wanted northern blacks to be unified with southern blacks, whites to be united with blacks, every possible combination. He specifically said, "Many of our white brothers have come to realize that our destiny is tied to their destiny." He also said, "We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote, and the Negro in Mississippi cannot vote. There is strength in numbers. We are all in this together." MLK has an inclusive and integrated movement that positively gained the attention of those in power. There is no reason to alienate anybody. Involving everyone was necessary to elicit change.
Very good. That concludes our third round. There were both counter opportunities. Ava, you will be going first. And then, of course, Henry, you'll be going second. Give us a moment to score. Whenever you are ready, Ava, you will have your 30 seconds.
Separation. That's what you said Malcolm X was fighting for. But if Malcolm X is fighting for separation and whites are fighting for separation, in a way they're fighting the same exact thing. They want the same exact thing. They both want to be separated. So Malcolm X is basically agreeing with the whites in a way because he wants separation too.
Whenever you're ready.
You say that Malcolm X didn't have numbers, and while it's true that he did not have the same amount of numbers that Martin Luther King has, I will give you that much. I will also say that it's because maybe people didn't many people saw. Maybe it's because not as many people gained publicity. Maybe not as many people gave him publicity. Maybe it's because people were too busy being blinded by every little thing that he did wrong and weren't looking at any of the things that Martin Luther King did wrong. Maybe that's why.
We shall now prepare for our fourth round, my apologies. And it'll start on our Malcolm X side, so whenever you are ready. And for whatever it's worth, Ava, $1,000, you are completely out of counters. So whatever information you may want to include, I will save it for the final article. Whenever you're ready, you have the floor.
Alright. The NAACP is too slow. That is actually something that Malcolm X firmly believed. They are going as fast as they can, and sure, they've managed to raise plenty of awareness, but that's great and all, but is that really what we need now? No. They're going as fast, they're doing the best that they can, according to, and that's what he said. But wait, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. I mean, maybe they are going as fast as they can. Maybe they are doing the best that they can. But there's not like there's much at stake. Just respect, just rights. No big deal, because the point is they're trying.
Whenever you're ready.
Martin Luther King was such an amazing leader that people followed his ideas and ideology. For example, the Freedom Riders. The Freedom Riders followed his ideas and ideology because they loved him so much. They started in Washington, D.C., slowly moving their way south. They sat in white waiting rooms. They sat in the white section of the bus. They used white restrooms. White people didn't like this, though. They blew up buses, and they blew up white waiting rooms that black people were sitting in. The Freedom Riders, they accomplished lots and lots of publicity. They were on news outlets. They were in newspapers. They were on the radio. Diane Nash was a big leader for the Freedom Riders. One of her famous quotes was, "It is clear to me that if we allowed the Freedom Riders to stop at this point, just after so much violence had been inflicted, the message would have been sent that all you have to do to stop a nonviolent protest is inflict massive violence." I think this quote is very inspirational, and it's very true. The Freedom Riders,
We have one counter in this round. It will be coming from Savannah. Give us a second while we score this fourth round, and you can start preparing for your final argument. Whenever you are ready for your counter, you have 30 seconds.
You were talking about the Freedom Riders. Yes, of course they agreed with Martin Luther King. He had great ideas that applied to them. Did you see what happened to the Freedom Riders? Their bus got burned. Did you see what they didn't do? They didn't fight back. They didn't do what they could have done to get back at the men who set fire to that bus. They didn't do what they could have done to get justice for them. They didn't.
We shall now, begin our final round. This is 90 seconds in a very competitive, very hotly contested match. 90 seconds. We will start on this side. That means Paul, you'll get the last word whenever you're ready.
Malcolm X thought that the white man was the enemy. Malcolm X quoted, "We have a common oppressor, a common exploiter, a common discriminator." Malcolm X went to the Badung Conference. There were many countries from Africa and Asia there. He noticed that a lot of them were being colonized by white men from Europe. As he quotes, "All over the world where the dark man was being oppressed." Malcolm X thought it would be amazing if the white man would be excluded from the community entirely. If it weren't for the white men, everyone would have unity. White men have been trying to take over the world forever.
If there were separated communities, it would keep the white men out of the way. They could do their own thing. They could have their community however they want, but it wouldn't go against the other. If they try to take over the community that isn't theirs, there would actually be consequences instead of what happens now. A little slap on the wrist. That's not enough.
I'm ready. Malcolm X was a threat to whites. He alienated whites, but whites were needed to make change. MLK let even racist whites know that they could change and be a part of the movement. Malcolm X did a lot, but in the end, Malcolm X just made MLK look better. Plus, MLK even earned his own holiday. President Obama said this about MLK. He started small, rallying others who believed their efforts mattered, pressing on through challenges and doubts to change our world for the better. A permanent inspiration for the rest of us to keep pushing toward justice. For his, that's the end of the quote. For his inspired, nonviolent, inclusive, attention-grabbing, and perfectly legal movement, one that earned life-changing results, MLK's ideology proves superior.
Both sides. We're gonna step outside for a moment, un momento. To slide the scores. What is this? I gotta climb out of here. See how limber Mr. Griffin is? It's all in the hamstring. It's all in the hamstring.